Hi, welcome back to this is Dave. My channel, Follow the Figures, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at Saratoga's second race tomorrow, July 27th. Okay, well, today is July 26th, Tuesday, and it's 8:09 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to spend a little time and do a thorough breakdown of this race. Certain components, certain factors, I will really dive into and show you how I'm doing them. And then when I do those same factors for the other entries, I'll just do them quickly. So you'll always have one horse to be able to focus on a particular factor on to see how it's done. So this is the second race tomorrow at Saratoga. The first race is actually a steeplechase race, and I don't play them. And let's look at it. It's a 6 furlong claiming 14,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime on the dirt on the main track. We are looking at a total of 6 runners for this race. Okay, so I picked a good race to at least keep it short and quick here because there's only 6 horses. And we're going to start off with our initial scan. Let's see if we can eliminate any horses from this picture here and maybe turn it into a 5 horse picture. The first thing I want to do is I want to find, especially because it's a sprint, I want to find who the speed of the race projectably is going to be. So I look at the one horse, and I'm going to look at all the races where he was in first at the first call and the second call at a sprint distance. And I'm going to highlight the fastest one, which is a 46.3. Okay, now I'm going to move the two horse one time out. That was at Aqueduct's 49.2, so this horse will probably not get the lead. Here's a 46.1. On the 3 horse back in February. And then we also have a 46.2 here. And we have another 46.2. Now I don't know who this guy is right here, Amin Castillo. A lot of times the early races, some of the bigger jockeys do not ride in them, but we have Carmouche riding, Dylan Davis. So, I mean, Amin Castillo, I don't know who he is. I don't let jockeys sway me that much. I will not eliminate a horse simply because of who's riding him. But at the same time, I would have liked to see a better rider right now, even though I haven't checked to see if there's any other speed in the race. I like the fact that I'm seeing a drop down here. From 25,000 downwards to 3. We have some allowance company back here to 14,000 downwards to 3 today as well. But here's the one horse is also a drop down in class, coming out of allowance races. But this was at Charlestown last 2 times out, and Laurel. So we are stepping up a bit here as far as company when it comes to the track itself. So let's move down to the 4 horse, none, 5 none, and the 6 none. So the 3 and the 1 most likely will be vying for the lead. And if I go by my better judgment, even though we have a 46.2 here as well, I would lean biasly toward the 3 horse simply because I look at it 8-1, and I would go and determine or label this horse as a pace drop. And as I mentioned before, the pace drop angle, speed on the class drop, is big for me. Okay, I love that angle, and depending on where the odds are on this horse, and no matter no matter how this horse figures for me with the rest of the factors that I look at, if the odds are there, I'm going to put something on that horse to win, even if it's $3. Okay, and he goes off at 10-1 or 12-1, I can at least get $36 to $40 back possibly just on that win. So let's look at some other factors now. Not as big of a factor in a sprint race, but I still like to look for them. I look for horses that are coming off a move on the turn. And I mentioned before, the turn, let me see if I can find one first. There's a small move. None. Okay, there's only one, and it's a slight move. If you notice, this horse here, at this call, was in 5th by 5 3/4, let's call it 6 lengths out. And at the second call here, he was in 6th place, but he was in 4.5 lengths out. I would not qualify this as a turn move because in order for it to qualify, for me to qualify as a turn move, he must not only gain lengths on the leader, which he did here, he has to gain placement as well, and he didn't. He actually dropped from 5th place to 6th place here. But this is the closest we have to a turn move, and for the first, this is the first time I'm introducing you to the turn move, what we do is we take a look at, we start with the last call, and we count that as 1, and we count 4 back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This here is the start of the turn, and this call here is the end of the turn. So these two, the 4th back and the 3rd back, will tell you how the horse did on the final turn of the race. That doesn't matter whether it's 6 furlongs, a mile 40. The 3rd and 4th call are always the start of the turn and half of the turn. If we look here, let's see if we can find a turn move somewhere in one of the past races. Again, we don't have a lot of runners we're dealing with here. We only have 6. Amazingly enough, none of these horses have really... Oh, here we go. This is the closest we're going to get. Even though he did not gain placement, this horse here made a move 2 back on the leader, on the turn, 5.5 out, and by the end of the turn, he was out by 2 lengths out of first. All right, but I do not have any horses that I will label as turn move horses. The next thing I'll look for here now is, let's finish with our class droppers. Are any other horses dropping in class from its last time out? Here's another one coming from 25,000. Non-winners of 3. Here's a 50,000 open claimer. No conditions. Not open, but no conditions. Open would be open company, meaning this wouldn't be just fillies. And then we have, so we do have a lot of class dropping in this race. All right, and then finally, well, not finally. Let's take a look over here and see if we have any horses coming off out of key races. And again, a key race, if you see these italics here, that means this horse won the next time out. And what I do is I look for, out of the top 3 finishers of the previous race, I look to see if there's two or more horses, two of the 3 or all 3 were in italics. That would be considered a key race. And I don't think we have any here. But let me see if I can look back and see if I can find any and see how they fared the next time out. I mean, you could say, I don't want to say this one because one of these 2 was actually this particular horse that came out and won the next time out. Let's see if there's any more. No. 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 But this is a neat spot play angle if you don't have a lot of time to handicap. Just go down each race and look at the last time out and see if there's 2 or 3 in italics. And keep an eye on the odds for that day, because this horse may come out and run a better race than he did last time out. I love seeing like a key race and a horse that finishes like this here, 13 lengths out. And I look over here and I see morning line 10-1. Well, today's competition level might not be as high. This might have been a better class race, even though this here might tell you that it's the same, same purse level, same price level. But all runners are different. You can have one race with 14,000 claimers, and then another race with 14,000 claimers. But the one race could be head over heels better than the other race, based on the competition that the opposition had run against in their previous races before that. So this only tells you so much over here when it comes to the level of the race and the competition. This can only give you a numerical idea of, the class level of the race. This here gives you a better idea of, what came out of that race and how they do the next time out. I don't have any here. Actually, nope. Now here's an example right here. And he ended up winning as the odds-on favors. But if you take a look here in this race on January 22nd, this horse, and this horse, the second and third place horses of a race that this horse actually won, came out and won their next time out. Now, this horse was entered in an optional claimer, 16,000, ran well early, and then faded. Comes back out, he actually drops down to drops down a little bit to claiming 16,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime instead of 1x. And what does he do? He ends up winning that race. Now, granted, again, he went off as the odds-on favorite, but sometimes you have to look 2 races back. You might have, let's say this race here, you may have a key race going on. Sorry. You may have a key race here. And then all of a sudden, he comes back and he just bites it. And you say, oh, so much for that angle. But today, he may be running at a lower class. Okay, he may be running at a lower class. And you may have to say, okay, I'm going to disregard this race here. And I'm going to use this key race and see if it reflects today's performance. And a lot of times you'll get really nice odds on a horse that'll run well. Or maybe even just get into money for you if you're playing your verticals. Okay, so those are all the quantitative things that I look for. And then finally, I'm going to see if there's any races I can toss. So I look at number 1. This is a 6 furlong dirt. And again, why would I toss races? I'm going to toss any race that was not run on a main track. And I'm also going to toss certain calls of races that didn't qualify for today. For example, this last race out. I don't need the last furlong. This was a 7 furlong race. Today is 6 furlongs. I'm not worried about how this horse did, how he finished this race at an additional furlong. Some people are. Okay? Some people are. Some people look at that and go, you know what? That's a strike against that horse. I don't. Okay, secondly, we have 6.5 furlongs. Again, I don't need the final call. Now, I don't do these for all the races, but I'm just going to do them today just to show you what I mean by I only focus on, okay, 1 mile. The 6 furlong call at 1 mile is right here. The second call. So I'm not worried about these last 2 calls. And if you look at this race, some people would see it different. I would see it as, you know what, this horse ran a very game effort for the 6 furlongs of this race. Others would say, well, look how he finished. Terrible. Okay, I'm not concerned about that there. And then finally, and I'm not going to do this for every horse, but if you notice, I took out all the calls or portions of those previous races that do not reflect today's distance. Now, for the rest of them, I'll just look for last couple times out. Last 2 or 3 times out. Here's a 1:40. I'm going to take that out of there. 6.5. I'm going to take that out of there. 7 furlongs. 6.5 furlongs. A mile. 7 furlongs. Again, I don't know why I'm going that far back, but anyways. So what I did was to the best of my ability, I took every race, well, not every race, but at least the last 3 races out, and I turned them into today's distance. Okay? By taking out the calls that do not matter as far as where they're running today, again, which is 6 furlongs. And then that would be it. From there, I'm going to move on to my numerical factors, starting with my target rating. I have another video that I show the target and ability rating, but I'm going to take a look at the 1 horse now, and I'm going to take, again, the target rating off of is always off of the 6 furlong mark. So we have a 112 and 2, which is from a 108 standard, and I'm not going to go over this again, how I'm doing this, because you could always watch the video that's titled Target and Ability. But a 112 and 2 is 22, and then he was 9 lengths off. So 22 plus 9 is a 31. 31 from 100 is actually a 69. Oop, I don't know why that box is coming up red. That is a 69 target rating. and then I look back and I see what's his best rating I could get from 6 furlongs. Well, I only have 2 more options. I got a 112 and 3, which is a 23, and he was in the lead, so it stays as a 23, and that's a 77. So target 69, ability rating 77, and then I'm going to get my final fraction off the last race. Now, if for some reason I see something like this here, all of a sudden this horse faded from 1st to 9th, I may want to go 2 back to give the horse the benefit of the doubt. But let's see where this final fraction comes out to. We got a 48 and 1 to a 112 and 2. Well, that's a 48 and 1 to a minute would be 11 and 4 plus another 12 and 2, which would be 23 and 6, which equates to a 24 and 1 final fraction. Now, if I go 2 back, we have a 12 and 4, 24 and 7, which is 25 and 2. So this, despite this loss of lengths, this last final fraction was better than the one time before, even though a better race was run. Okay, so doing these internal fractions like I just did goes to show that this race here, because of the outcome, the qualitative outcome, wasn't necessarily a better race run than this one here as far as time goes. Okay, despite losing 8 lengths, this horse still ran a 24 and 1 final fraction. So we look at the second race, we go target 10, 11, 12. All right, that's 12 so far, and then 19. Now I got to look at that and I got to say, all right, I got to do something here. Either use the 19, see if there was a comment saying that, you know, something happened late in the race. For example, 2 races back, this horse stumbled at the start. So I'm going to give this horse a mulligan, and I'm going to just toss that race completely. But let's go back here, and I hate using ratings from races where the horse just totally fell out of the race. But there's nothing telling me why I should cross this race out. So 12 plus 19 is a 31. This is also a 69. And then let's see what the best we can get out of here. We have some slow times down here. There's a 22, 35. 22 plus 13 is 35. That'd be a 65. 22 here. There we go. 22, 25. 22 plus 3 is 25, which is 75. And then final fraction. Again, this is, we'll see how this comes out. This was a terrible final quarter here. But we got 46 and 3 to 110 and 2. 46 and 3 to 1 minute would be 13.2 seconds plus another 10. 23 and 4. And this horse actually lost 14 lengths. So 23 and 4, 25 and 4, 25 and 8, which is a 26 and 3 final fraction. Now, just out of curiosity, let's go back here where this horse actually went gate to wire and see what the final fraction would be. 49.2 to a minute would be 11 and 3, plus another 14 would be 25, 26 and 1. So again, see, this horse here averages around 26 point something final fraction. So this 26.3 isn't that far off. If I were to go back a little further, I would probably find another 26. There's a 50 to a minute would be 10. And there we go. 10 plus 16 is 26 and 4. And this horse actually gained 2 lengths to get in the first. 26 and 3, 26 and 2. So that race there would be a 26 and 2. So that seems to be right with this horse. Now we have the 3 horse, 17, 15, and, or 11 and 2 would be a 15, 17, plus 10 is 27, that's a 73. And then let's see if we can dig up something out of the ability ratings. We have a 20, 24. So far we have a 76 down here. 21 to 6, 20, 76, 19 and 27. 76 would be his ability rating. And then here we have a 14 and 1 plus 11 and 2 would be a 25 and 3. And again, this horse lost 8 lengths. That's actually a 27.1. Okay, sorry, I had to pause my video. I lost my train of thought. I think I was on the target ability for the 4 horse here. So we got 111 to 4, which is 15. Plus 4 is 19. 23. That's a 77. And then best rating down here would be a 20. He was in first, and it would be an 80. So we have a 77-80 on the 4 horse. And final fraction is a 14 and 1 plus 11 is 25 and 5. That's a 26. And he lost a length. That's a 26.1. Okay, target 15, 17, 26. That's a 74. Ability 10 and 4 is 4. No. It looks like it's going to be a 34.66. 74 also. 25 and 1 is 26 from 100, which is a 74. And again, if you're not understanding what I'm doing by my mental math, I do have a video titled Target and Ability, calculating target and ability ratings, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, final fraction is 13 plus 11 is 24 and 2 plus 4 lengths lost is 25 and 1. Remember, we're dealing in fifths of seconds here. That's why a 24 plus 2 plus 4 is actually 4/5, which makes it a 25 and 1 final fraction. And finally, we have 15, 17, 23. 77 with an ability rating of 19. There's 77 there. 77, 77. And then final fraction, 14 and 1, 25 and 3, 25 and 4. Okay? So there's my matrix system calculations. If I would probably go and I would do the follow the figures as well. Now I would do my follow the figures system. But if I weren't doing the follow the figures, the matrix system also has what is known as a buyer cumulative. And I'm just going to do that for one of the horses. I'm going to show you how it's done. What I do is I take, let me see a horse that ran at this distance. I take the fastest and add it to the best at this distance, which will give me a 125. And then I take the best on this year, which is a 70, and I add it to the best on the last race. Now, when I see this last race, that tells you right away, when I compare these figures to that 23, something went wrong in this race. Okay? Something went wrong in this race, even though it's not mentioned in the comments. I would probably go back and use the 70 here. So 70 plus 70 is 140. And I just add them together. A 140 plus a 125. This horse's buyer cumulative is actually a 265. But I'm not going to do them for all the horses because I think I'm going to play this card tomorrow. And I'm going to run these through the figure system as well and see how they pan out. But let's take a look and find our target horse. Our target horse in this race is the horse with the highest total over here, which is, we have two 77s, I think. We have a 77 here. It's not let me highlight it. 77. We also have a 77 here. Okay. And we don't have any exceeders. In my target ability video, I talked about exceeding ability. So if this were a 79, it actually exceeds the ability. I would move that. I would switch that. I would drop that to a 77 In this case, though, we don't have any horses that exceeded their ability. So our 2 target horses, we have co-targets in this race. We have the 4 horse, and we have the 6 horse. Okay, so now let's look at where's our ability horse at? 77, 74, there's an 80, 76, 75, 77. So the 4 horse is actually our target and ability horse. Who's got our best final fraction? Best final fraction. I don't have to look any further because I remember 24-1 is our best final fraction. And he's also possible pace setter. And this horse here is labeled as the pace drop. So if I were to make a quick decision here, what I'm going to do, not in any particular order, and I always like to favor the higher odd horses, I'm going to take this horse here, my target ability horse, to 4, despite the, the jockey numbers here. And I'm going to put that on top. And my selections would be 4, 1, 3. And who is my co-target? The 6? 4, 1, 3, 6 would be my contenders if, again, I were just using the matrix system. Now, once I add the follow the figures to this, I might see this horse might, take the lead in flying colors as far as top contender. But just using this system right here, my plays would be 4, 1, 3, 6. I would look at win odds, and I would determine who I'm going to put my win bets on. Obviously, this horse at 1-1 right now is probably going to be odds-on favorite, so there wouldn't be any win money on there. So I would project that I would probably be right now playing the 4 to win, unless the public also sees a lot in the 4 and drives his odds down to 7-2 or below, and I won't play him. And then the 3, for as reasons I mentioned earlier, this 3 is coming off a drop, and he could potentially, based on past races here, he could get out to the lead and maybe wire this field, gate to wire, at a good price. Okay, so 4, 1, 3, 6 will be my plays, and maybe you could check out the race 2 tomorrow. Hopefully that none of these horses get scratched out of this race, and see how we came up. All right, until next time, thanks again. This is Dave. Hit subscribe if you're interested in following future videos and get notifications, because I will be adding some new content on here. We'll be putting some pick 4s on here, where I'll be handicapping bits and pieces of each race in the sequence, and then seeing where we seeing where we fall later on. All right, take care until next time.